Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast, a podcast for English teachers in search of creative teaching strategies. Whether you're new to the show or a longtime listener, I'm so glad you're here for today's edition of Highly Recommended. This week, I want to share the podcast my family has been listening to on road trips for the last 6 months. It's called The Unexplainable Disappearance of Mars Patel. If a 7-year-old, an 11-year-old, and 2 adults love it, it's got great classroom potential across levels. The Unexplainable Disappearance of Mars Patel is a Peabody Award-winning mystery podcast that's been serialized. So every little basically chapter comes out as an individual podcast episode, and each episode is full of cliffhangers. They stack. At the end of every episode, you're left with some kind of huge question about what's coming in the next episode. The episodes feature a full cast of professional actors, most of whom are middle schoolers. So it's acted out, it's dramatic. There are sound effects, there's music woven in, kids are shouting back and forth. It's exciting. The plot unfolds in little bits and pieces, and at first, we're really confused. We're following this group of middle school kids who don't quite fit in at their school. They don't quite know why their friends keep disappearing one by one. They don't quite know if they can trust this teacher that seems to sort of be following them and trying to help them, but is he really helping? And then there's this eccentric fictional billionaire sponsor in the show named Oliver Pruitt with his amazing special school Pruitt Prep. And he comes in and he breaks up the podcast episodes with commentary and with ads, like fake fictional ads for his school Pruitt Prep. And for the first few episodes, your mental sort of unpacking of all this is working in overtime because you're like, wait, what's happening? Who disappeared? Why did they disappear? Is Pruitt Prep a real place? Is Oliver Pruitt a real guy? Are these commercials? What is happening? And that process is actually so interesting and so fun. And the more you listen, the more you start to understand that this Oliver Pruitt is maybe not a good guy. And yes, he's part of the show. He's not an actual commercial sponsor. And you start to root for these kids and you start to understand their situation. It's a fun show. It's very full of just suspense and liveliness, and I think it will really draw students in. This show makes an ideal text for middle school. There's so much you could talk about from a podcasting perspective in the way that it builds suspense, incorporates plot layers, weaves in sound elements, but it would also make a great show just to practice listening skills, to give you some really interesting and different writing prompts or discussion or debate points. I highly recommend you listen to just one episode of The Unexplainable Disappearance of Mars Patel to see what you think. I bet you won't stop there. Thanks so much for joining me today to talk about one of my favorite recent podcasts for the classroom. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.